Guys, Kev here, and I have two knives from Kansept to talk about. So these are knives they handed me at Blade Show West. I don't know how new they are or anything, but I guess they wanted me to check them out, and I'm glad they did because I'm actually pretty impressed with these. So let's talk about them. I'll set this one aside, and we'll talk about this one first. This is the Kansept Knives Anomaly. Let me get some of that tape off of there. This is the Anomaly. And we can see that right there. And this is a Dirk Pinkerton design, which is kind of interesting to me. It doesn't necessarily scream Dirk Pinkerton to me, but I really like this knife. Spoiler alert, this is one of my favorite Kansepts I've ever handled. I was kind of surprised with that because when I first saw it, I was like, just a knife. Pretty straightforward. Tie frame lock S35EN, $150 or so on their website. I will link Kansept's website down below. I do have an affiliate link for that, so if you use the link, it does help the channel, and of course I appreciate when you do that. It's got the standard sort of blue Kansept hardware and everything. It's got their machined satin. It's got bearings. It's got a flipper tab, and that's it. It's a very simple knife, but it's extremely well executed. It's got really good ergonomics and design, and it just stands out to me. Sometimes I can't explain why, but I just really like this knife from Kansept. I don't know how old it is. I don't know anything. I looked it up on their website. It's $156. It comes in different versions. There's like a black one. There's a gray one, there's this one, so there's a few options if you want something different. I do have a gripe with it. That's really it. I have one gripe with it, and we'll talk about it. So let's get into it. This knife is fantastic. You'll see here it is not a large knife. So if I get the old measuring tape out, or the new measuring tape, I guess. The only thing I don't like about this measuring tape is it has this stupid hole right here. I know that that's there for a reason, but like I tend to like put the blade tip in there, and then I can't measure because the tip is in there. See, the tip sticks out. That's what she said, and then it's just annoying. Anyway, see, it did it again. Stop it. So just gotta do this. Let's see, there we go. The blade length is 3.15, something like that. The overall length is 7 1/4 down to there. Yeah, just about 7 1/4. Your handle length is gonna be 4 inches. So I mean, it's a very standard knife. It is nice and thin. So that's nice. It's got standoffs that look good. Normally I like a backspacer, but it does remove some weight not having that. 0.44, 0.45 is fantastic. I need to probably get a scale so I can be all professional. Like, I have the shipping scale, but I'll get a real one, I guess. I'll finally do it. You guys convinced me to be a real reviewer. It's like 3 ounces. 3.5 ounces, something like that. Balance point is really good. It's right in that choil area, which I like. So it feels like I can maneuver it around, and I don't feel, like it's gonna fall or anything like that. Friday night gas station grip is extremely comfortable. You have this flat back here. You can get a nice grip, hammer grip on it. Slave your Slurpee. Save your Slurpee. Obviously I never hold knives like that and don't know anything about tactical stuff, but hey, I'll tell you anyway. It's just a really slick knife. I love the quayback to it. I think that's what you call that when it's like, it swoops, right? Swoop, swoop. It's very cool. It's basically a drop point, I guess. It's a useful blade shape. I haven't had any issues with it. I'm not a big fan of like clip points, stuff like that, but it doesn't quite come up enough to bug me. If you need to get into a package or something, it still allows you to do that. You can't choke up, which is interesting because normally I do not like knives that I can't choke up on, But this grip just feels really good. I feel close enough to the edge that, you know, slicing stuff just never felt like it was uncomfortable. You know, if you have large glove size hands, this might be perfect for you. Anything bigger than that, you know, we're going to be getting a little too small, I think, here. But I love it. Blade's nice. Grind is nice. That machine satin, you know, I always wish they'd do a traditional belt satin. It's a sharp blade. I've used it plenty. I carried this one more than anything after Blade Show. I really, really like this knife. So, my gripe on this knife. What is my gripe? What could it be? It's literally the smallest thing. I just wish they jimped this flipper tab. There's no jimping on the flipper tab. Is it a big deal? No, it works. But I do wish that there was some jimping there. I wish it kind of came around and just was jimped up, you know. What would be an example of that? Here. The Divo knives nip. So the way we did it is it's just completely jimped, right? So you get your finger on there and the jimping takes over and it's easy to fire off. This one you could slip off. I find that they dialed the detent perfectly. I mean, that it's really a fantastic detent. You can kind of rest your finger at the top here and then just give it the old light switch and she'll fly out of there. Or you can kind of rest there and then give it the push and it'll fly out of there too. And it's just super satisfying to deploy this knife. Left-handed, no problem. Lock bar is not an issue because I'm not on it. If I were, it locks it up. But obviously that's never happened because I didn't even know. I just rest my finger over here on the pivot, whatever, right? No problems at all. And then the closing, you have a nice chamfer here. You have a nice soft lock bar. I really appreciate a soft lock bar after reviewing something like a Giant Mouse. I just reviewed the Giant Mouse Ace Yacht, and I really like that knife. But Italy just has the strongest lock bars. So you go from that to something that just glides out of the way. And then look at that, man. Look at that action. It's not a guillotine. It's not a guillotine. It's a beautiful, beautifully smooth shake shut action. I mean, this is the best action, in my opinion. Having something that you're controlling the drop on, but doesn't feel cumbersome, right? It's not like I don't have to like shake the shit out of it to close it, but I just have to coax it down slightly and then let it click. Let that bad boy click into place. Ah, it's beautiful. I love this knife. I mean, I have no other way to put it. I absolutely love this knife. This is the Kansept Anomaly by Dirk Pinkerton. Fantastic job, Dirk. Fantastic job, Kansept. This is an S35VN, and there's your model number. Okay, hopefully you can maybe make that out or care. I don't know if you care. Okay, flat grind. Just such a good knife. And again, it's super simple. It's not over the top. It's not like it really has no standout feature or anything. It just is so well executed and designed. And the clip is fantastic. Like I said, I carried the shit out of this. It's got the perfect tension. Just simple clip. I mean, it's just simple, guys. It's so good. One downside, T6s. I didn't notice because I never took it apart. But you have T6s everywhere except that T8 on the pivot. But that's kind of a Kansept thing. They like T6s still for some reason. But centering's perfect. Look at that. Just a gorgeous knife, man. I love this blue. Yeah, this thing really grew on me, too. I opened it at Blade Show and was like, yeah, this is kind of cool, you know? But the more I've just carried it and used it, and I just love it. So that's the Anomaly. 156 bucks. I mean, that's a score right there. All right, the next one is the Integra. So this one is a little bit larger. This one is a liner lock. And yeah, this one's got like sort of a modified sheep's foot blade. It's got Chinese fat carbon. So that's what we're calling this. I think that's what they call it. They're not hiding anything. It's Chinese version of fat carbon. They're trying to, you know, basically copy what fat carbon does. You can see this is the Toxic Storm version. The blues and the greens and the yellows. But their version of it is a little more uniform. It's kind of got that like circular, I don't know what it kind of looks like, little eyeballs in there, sort of, or whatever you want to call it. And then they finish it differently. So it feels closer to G10 almost than it does a carbon fiber, which I don't think I hate. I do prefer regular fat carbon over this, or camo carbon, or CF or something. This is not my favorite material. I also don't like the color choices they have in it. They mostly have like Toxic, Nebula. Like, it's a lot of just too many colors mixed together. It's just not my style. Unless they did an 80s one. That's the one I really like for some reason. But other than that, I don't love all these colors. So it's cool that they did it and everything. But I just want to point out this is not fat carbon. It's Chinese fat carbon. Again, you have the T6s everywhere except the pivot is T8, standard concept stuff. You have S35EN, which is pretty much what they use on everything. They have some 20CV, but you rarely see it. This is JK Knives. So this is I believe, a custom maker out of Poland. If you guys want a real in-depth look at this knife, check out Jim Skelton's video. He has a good video on this. He compared it to a custom. I believe he has a custom from JK Knives. I've never seen that custom. I don't have any Polish customs or anything. But I gotta say, if this is the production version, that custom has got to be pretty damn sweet. Because this is they have a budget version of this in G10. And I don't know the blade steel. 154 CM would be my, like, 98% guess. And they're like $79. So you can get this design if you love JK Knives and you just always wanted a custom, but you just couldn't afford to spend whatever they are, $1,200, $1,400, $2,000, I don't know. Then you can get one for $79 on their website. Links down below, of course. But then the price goes up to, $230 or something like that was the most expensive one, I think. And that's titanium, or it might have been this Chinese fat carbon, sorry. They have a few different scale materials. They have one that's like puke anno, which is lightning anno. I just don't like lightning anno. And then it has like a Damascus blade. And somehow that one's like 220, and then the all-tie one's 230 or something. But hey, whatever. That Damascus is cheap. That's why they can do that. Lightning anno is not expensive. It's just puking on the titanium. And then Damascus, those Damascuses they use is like, it has like a Nitro V base or a 9CR base. And that's why they can sell that one for 220. But anyway, you can get it affordably is what I'm saying. It has a backspacer that I believe is just anodized gold. I don't think that is like brass or anything because the weight is good. The weight is not obnoxious. And for this size of a knife, it to me is good. You have nice thick liners in here. I believe they're steel. Yes, they are steel liners, but they're milled out pretty good. It's got a Kaiser feel in that sense with those like thick black wash liners. I like that. You can see the lock up there is nice, right? The lock bar is okay. It's not the softest lock bar to move out of the way, but it's pretty good. My issue with it is it's kind of sharp. It's a little bit sharp here. I wish they had chamfered this edge here and not just put this little scallop in here. If you look at this one, you'll see it's really nicely chamfered all in here. So when you're pushing on it with your thumb, you're pushing on a nice soft corner. On this, you're pushing on a harsh corner, and it can annoy you a little bit after a while. Not the end of the world, but, you know, just want to mention it. And then the lock bar's got a little bit of tension to it. But it's good. It's solid. Clip works great. I've carried this a few times, no problem. Nothing to write home about, but nothing bad. It's smooth here. So, you know, your clip's just sliding in. You don't have to worry about, like, a knife like this where the relief cuts will grab you and jack you up a little bit. The frag pattern will get you. It's the only downside to that knife. Wonderful knife. But this, smooth, right? No problems there. The action is, man, Kansept really on these two crushed it. This one does have a little bit of jimping on the flipper tab, and the detent is perfect. I mean, they've crushed the detents on these. Pops out of there. Can I fail it? No. I mean, I was really trying there. I almost tried to pinch it. Yeah, I pinched it, but I blocked it from opening. So, I mean, if you're not being an idiot, you can't fail it. It's so good. Now, every version is going to be different, obviously. It's an interesting flipper tab. You can't really do what you do with this one where you load up top here. You can almost like rest your finger up here, pinch, and pull. On this one, because of the way the flipper tab is, that jimping has to come into play. So jimping will grab you, and that's what lets you kind of grip and rip, is the jimping. You can't really push button because you'll just pinch it down like that. You can do a push switch, is what I call it, where you kind of push to do a push button, and then at the last second you drag it down. So you go like that. So I like that move quite a bit. And then I like the traditional sort of light switch as well. It just becomes second nature the way you flip the knife. And left-handed, left-handed, I really like how it feels. It's really snappy, flies out of there. I will say I've noticed left-handed that I get a sharp corner when I'm disengaging, because what I do is I flip the knife, right? Kind of reach over like this, fire the knife like that. Then I spin the knife around and I go to disengage, right? So I get my thumb in here, I realign everything, I push this over, and I think maybe because it requires a little bit of it has that extra tension I was talking about, I'm pushing there, which is jabbing the knife into my palm here. And this corner right here just happens to be a little sharper than I want it to be. So I probably, almost guarantee you, I could take sandpaper and in about 3 seconds I could knock that down, and then I wouldn't have that problem at all. But as is, that actually is kind of like, oh, you know, it kind of is a little bit of a shock every time I go to disengage it left-handed. Now, right-handed, you don't have that problem. So right-handed, the way I do it anyway, I kind of just hold the knife like this. I don't tuck it into my palm. That corner is sharp on both sides, but you don't hold it like that, you know. You're either holding it like this and pushing the lock bar out of the way, or you're doing this, right, and letting it swing down. So it's more of a lefty issue, so not much of an issue, right? The scales are flat, so there's no contouring. So in the hand, it's pretty comfortable, but I do wish it was a little bit contoured because it would be more comfortable in the hand. If you really squeeze down, you can feel the edges around everything because it's flat, right? You can choke up on this flipper tab, and that is pretty comfortable. I'm not too worried about being up on the edge. If you had enormous hands, that might be a problem, but it's comfortable. I can also grip it back here. It's larger than I like in a knife, but it's fine. Did I measure it? I think I did, right? Just so I can show you again. 3, maybe I didn't measure this one. It's over 3.5, so 3.6. And then the handle is 4 3/4. A little bit more than 4 3/4. Overall, you're looking at 8.5, basically. Just under 8.5, so maybe 8.4 inches overall on this guy. So not a small knife, right? I'm more of a 7.5 guy. Maybe even down to 7. I like smaller knives these days. This one is in my wheelhouse. I really like the size of this one. But there you go. You can get a comparison just so you guys can see both of them compared to stuff. I'll grab my Sweeney from Berg Blades. It's got a 3.5-inch blade on it, essentially. Good size, probably your average size knife right there, right? And it probably falls right in the middle of these two. Let's see. Yep, pretty much dead on in the middle of these two, if that helps you at all. Close that up, see what else I got here. I have a full-size EXO. This is the new version of the EXO with the clip and the lock, and they are reversible if you're curious. There you go. Raw there. So hopefully that helps you guys a little bit. I don't have a bunch of size comparison knives because I sell everything. I just can't keep knives just to have for size comparison. Come on. The centering on this one is dead on, dead nuts. So, I mean, really, I have 2 gripes, maybe 3 with this knife. Okay, I have more than that. But I really like the knife, okay? The gripes, again, are the lock bar is a little bit sharp here on this corner. It's just a little bigger than I like. Not really a gripe. That's a personal preference. This corner right here is sharp on the knife, so depending on how you're manipulating it, it could be an issue. And then occasionally I do miss the flipper tab. The Detent's good. See that? Man, it was like automatic. It's just that the way it's designed and everything, sometimes you can miss it. I don't think that's a gripe. I think that's just a thing. I didn't talk about the action. Let's talk about the action. Okay. Again, balance, really good on this knife. Just like the other one, I feel like, you know, right where your finger is going to grip, that's where, you know, the balance point is on the knife, which is good, right? Reverse grip, comfortable. You don't have anything sharp back here somehow. Oh, because I'm not touching that up there. So Friday night gas station is good. Maybe a little guard there. Not really. I wouldn't trust it, but why would you be doing this anyway? All right. So the closing action, the action overall is phenomenal. I'm assuming JK Knives and his Integra Custom are known for being just outstanding in the action category. This thing will fall as far as you want it to. If you want to hold it all the way down here, it'll fall all the way down there. If you want to hold it up here and have it hit here, you can have it do that. I like to do this, let it start coming down and stop before it hits me. I'm trying to preserve that thumbnail the best I can. Now, one downside, I guess, would be you can't go high enough on the lock bar to have the flipper tab hit you. No matter what you do, even if you come to the top of this cutout, that flipper tab clears because this part, right? So if you're somebody who likes to get hit by the flipper tab and not get your nail hit, you know, maybe it's not for you, but it's not a nail scraper, really. It's not coming down with a ton of force, and it's not coming down on a corner, right? This is just an edge termination. It's pretty soft. It's not a sharp like Evo 2.0 or Chavez corner sharpening choil, so you're fine. But I like to do that where I kind of let it come down a little bit, and then I'll do this. And man, I mean, you can see how buttery that action is. It's impressive. And again, it has that beautiful action where it's me controlling it. It's not just dropping, right? This one's a little bit smoother even. Not even smoother, just a little more droppy. But you see how they just, man. But if I do this, right, if I just, it's not just going to fall, right? This one's close. But even if it did, it wouldn't bother me. It's just, it's not like just going and dropping shut. Just such a nice, controlled close. And I really appreciate that. So, Kansept nailed that on these two. There you go, guys. I mean, these are some fantastic knives from Kansept. Again, I'll link them down below if you're interested. I think these have been around a little bit, so I don't know. But they have options for them. This one has a lot of options from budget to bougie. And this one has some different color options as well. I can highly recommend both. I think if you're more in my category of smaller knives, you'll like this one. If you like something a little larger, or, you know, maybe you're trying to collect those custom knives that are turned production, then this is definitely a good one for you. So that's the Kansept Integra and the Kansept Anomaly. Thanks for checking it out, guys. Like I said, if you want more information on the Integra, go check out Jim's video. It's very good. I'll try to link it if I can. And yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will catch you later.